Huh. That's how she stops time. Interesting. Oh, hello there. Let's get one thing out of the way real quick. First, I started making this deck a while ago, and I was gonna make it for a video, and I had everything kind of ready to go, started recording, my computer busted. Sorry I'm a little late on this. What this did for me though, is allowed me to realize this deck gets close to CEDH levels of good. And I don't know how it does it, it just does it. It's a very weirdly powerful deck. That being said, let's talk about Obeka, Splitter of Seconds.
Obeka Splitter of Seconds. For 1 blue, black, red, you get a 2/5 legendary creature ogre warlock with menace that says whenever Obeka Splitter of Seconds deals combat damage to a player, you get that many additional upkeep steps after this phase.
Obeka answers the age-old question of what would happen if I had 500 upkeeps every single time I took my turn. With Obeka, essentially we have this really cool mechanic that's actually way more busted than I thought it would be. We'll get to that later. That's kind of what makes this deck so absolutely terrifying. When Obeka hits, she's going to get that many upkeeps after combat. Now, like first strike and double strike is not a phase, so after combat is when the upkeep phase will actually be put in, and however many upkeeps, but it is equal to the amount of damage you deal. So if you deal 2 upkeeps, 4 upkeeps. Otherwise, we have a bunch of other cards that take advantage of the upkeep that most people already know about, but they're just super cool cards. And I mean, they're totally not the threat, so let's just talk about them. First one's gonna be Braids, Conjurer Adept.
Braids Conjurer Adept. 2 blue gets you a 2/2 legendary creature human wizard that says at the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player may put an artifact, creature, or land card from their hand onto the battlefield.
With Braids, essentially, we're gonna not have to worry about anything that's in our hand being too much to cast. And since it's at our upkeep, we can put things that we end up drawing down, prioritizing the things that have upkeep triggers themselves. Really broken. It's great, but your opponents get stuff too, so they can't be too mad, right? No, they're gonna be mad. What's worse? I mean, we could just get a bunch of 5/5 flyers with Dragon Master Outcasts. Every single upkeep, 6 or more lands, Dragon Master Outcast. Bam, 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 bam. That is flyers. This is something that our opponents are gonna have to really worry about, because every single time Obeka hits, we're gonna get that many dragons as well. As long as you have 6 or more lands. You can even do Joyer of the Gitu. Turn this into a suspend deck. I mean, every single thing that you have in your hand that's not a, land can get suspended with 4 time counters, and then that's minimum 2 time counters taken off right after combat. And if it's a creature, it gains haste. That's important. Plargan Nasari, gonna say one of the grossest cards I've ever played against somebody, and I feel bad for playing it, but it's in this deck because it's inexpensive-ish, and it's just so broken. The way I explain it to people now is pretty much everybody exiles from the top of their library until they get a non-land card at your upkeep, and then somebody of your choice, an opponent, says, not that one, and then you get to take 2 of what's remaining. Because if you hit the removal, you can just let it stay in exile. So they can never recur it, they can never really do much with it. They also got Tamio's Journal. Don't even worry if you have the card in hand, you can just get the card to hand. If you start your turn with Tamio's Journal, and then you hit with Obeka, you get to search your library for a card. And as long as you're doing a minimum of 2, you will always get to search your library for a card every turn, as long as Obeka is hitting some players. We can kill some people, we can do it with Twilight Prophet. As long as we have the City's Blessing and we ascend, pretty easy to get, so 10 or more permanents. You reveal a top card of your library, and then each opponent is going to lose life equal to its mana value. That goes to hand. Technically not card draw, still card draw, and you get to drain everybody for that life. It is really broken. With card advantage and with the life loss. As foretold, casting something for free is always a good thing. I mean, especially if your commander is getting removed a lot. If somebody wants to destroy something or do something else and you're holding on to a counter magic, but you're tapped out, As Foretold doesn't need to happen on your turn. That's some really fun interaction to hold up. I'm sure nobody will be really upset to find that out of nowhere. Replicating Ring. Obviously, you're gonna wanna ramp in this deck, and the ramp that Replicating Ring gives you is absurdly abundant. Essentially, as long as you hit 8 upkeeps, you get 8 copies of Replicating Ring without the text that says you get those 8 copies. Then you have the ring cycle. You have the Ring of Valcast, Ring of Evos Isle, and the Ring of Gatherin. Each of these drop for 2 and then equip for 1, so you can put it on your creature pretty easily. Valcast just gives haste. Evos Isle will make sure that it can get hexproof if you pay 2, and then Gatherin will allow you regenerated if you can pay 2 into it. What really gets it is that other text that says if the creature is red, blue, or black, you get to get a 1/1 counter at your upkeep. Plus the ability to regenerate or to give hexproof or even just to give haste is super busted on somebody like Obeka. And also at a flavorful spot in this list, we have Triskaidekaphobia. Essentially, at your upkeep, everybody with 13 life can go home. They pack up, see you later, goodbye, goodbye Jojo. Everybody either gains one or loses one depending on what you want to have happen. And since you can do this at every single upkeep, as long as you're careful with it, you can essentially just make every single person get closer to 13, and hopefully you're not at 13 because you'll lose the game before you can do the rest of it. But, you know, that's the kind of dice we roll. And it's really funny. It's the fear of the number 13. It's great. We have a good number of other things that also help us with card draw or help us with like card selection, things that can get us into our deck a lot quicker. But first, we're going to go ahead and give us a little bit of time. Let's give some messages out to the crowd out there. This time I'm thinking I'm going to theme it. I'm not sure exactly what theme I'm going to give for it, but oh, I have a hat now. Must be cowboys. Yee! Howdy, partner. You should take a moment and mosey on over to that subscribe button. This deck and others to come are a direct result of your algorithmic support. The hive mind doesn't take too kindly to videos that have flaws, and dadgummit, I'm only human. So, showing you like it by tossing a coin to your witcher. So showing you like it by making physical contact with the digital interface shown below, you can support me in ways that remain unquantifiable even to the masterminds responsible for the creation of the robot brain that artificially correlates data gathered through audience interaction with the reference of previous videos viewed, other factors that dictate time spent on the site, etc. And maybe you can be a lowly cowpoke too, yeeehaw, or whatever. So take that initiative today. Bang bang, oh, life is meaningless. So like my cowboy me just said, I am gonna take the initiative. Now when I first made this deck and the script, I kinda just theory crafted this, tested it. Now that I've played it, oh boy, it is somehow perfectly built for Obeka. Like, I'll let you know, I had the idea of, oh, we'll run dungeons because somebody on our Discord had mentioned the dungeons. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. They have the initiative and it's an upkeep trigger. It's really nice. And then I put it to practice. Oh, it's gross. It's so gross. It's an amazing idea that they had. I can't take credit for this. I can take credit for making it $30 and giving you guys something to run with it. So thank you, Discord user, and if you want to find other Discord users, link in the top description. So what are we going to do with the initiative? Well, we're going to use things like Caves of Chaos Adventurer.
Caves of Chaos Adventurer. For 3 and a red, you get a 5/3 creature human barbarian with trample that says when Caves of Chaos Adventurer enters the battlefield, you take the initiative. Whenever Caves of Chaos Adventurer attacks, exile the top card of your library. If you've completed a dungeon, you may play that card this turn without paying its mana cost. Otherwise, you may play that card this turn.
Where this becomes broken with Obeka is that as long as Obeka hits somebody, as long as they have the initiative, you take the initiative back, and then you can continue to get your upkeep triggers immediately after combat, taking advantage of the next few areas of the dungeon. Now, I know what you're asking. How many of the initiative cards do we have in this deck? Well, almost every single one that we can run. I'm pretty sure it is every single one minus like 1 or 2. Everything that we can do to take the initiative is in here, and it almost all costs 4, some 5. This deck doesn't need to necessarily hit somebody with the initiative. If the person who took the initiative has too many creatures and you just have a menacing Obeka and that's it, well, you can drop another creature that says you take the initiative, then you just take the initiative. And then you can send them into the one person that has 1 creature and then get 2 additional upkeeps afterwards. And guess what? There's this nice little place in there called the Forge, and the Forge is crazy good. You put 2 counters on Obeka. That means you are essentially going to be speedrunning this dungeon like a boss. You are going to be the scariest boss to fight in this dungeon. These cowboys won't know what to do with you.
How about you, foul demon? I'm here to take you down.
Spencer, watch out!
Huh?
I know what you're thinking. Hey, how am I gonna get in? Is there anything that I can do to get in for damage, to do anything? Well, yeah, there's some new tech that dropped. It's gonna actually make it really easy for Obeka to get in. It's brand new from the set that I think is called the Theros.
Aqueous form. For 1 blue, you get an enchantment aura that says enchant creature. Enchanted creature can't be blocked, and whenever enchanted creature attacks, scry 1.
Congratulations. With this, you're all but guaranteeing that Obeka's just gonna get in for some damage. It is one of the easiest ways to get any creature in. It's gonna be one of the most potent ways as well. We have a bunch of other cards in this deck that do it as well. Some of them care about power or toughness, which It's kind of like a boo-hoo. We're not going to be able to get those later on throughout the game. But to show you what I mean, let's just list off the other cards so that you don't have to worry about it. I'm a reference right now. We got Aether Tunnel, Rogue's Passage, Suspicious Bookcase, Sword Coast Sailor, Vorak Battlehorns, Manifold Key, Access Tunnel, Break Through the Line. Some of these do require power 2 or less, like Break Through the Line. Some of these require power 3 or less, like Access Tunnel. A lot of these don't. A lot of these really don't care. As long as you're attacking the player with the highest life total. As long as you're attacking with the creature you targeted. It is absurdly broken. That's not even to mention you can get the power to be the toughness. Merfolk Thaumaturgist.
Merfolk Thaumaturgist. For 2 and a blue, you get a 1/2 creature Merfolk Wizard that says tap, switch target creature's power and toughness until end of turn.
With Merfolk Thaumaturgist, essentially what you're looking at is a 2/5 that was declared unblockable because its power was 2, and then you swap that power toughness. Uh-oh, it's a 5/2. Still has unblockable though, that hasn't changed. You send it in, 5 upkeeps, base. 5 upkeeps is enough to run the dungeon. This dungeon is absurdly broken. The cards in this deck are absurdly broken. This deck is absurdly broken, like my PC was. I'm sorry I'm late with this video, but I'm glad I got to run this deck because now I know exactly how to sell it to you guys. Now this deck runs pretty hot. It's $30-ish. It goes up and down. I mean, new cards, new set. But if you have the budget to go bigger, you might as well go bigger. You can use things like Umezawa's Jite. Umezawa's Jite, essentially once you hit, you get the counters, and then you can remove the counters to get a +2/+2 buff. Or you could use Portal to Phyrexia. Enters the battlefield, 9 creatures go away, free from each opponent. And then you can immediately follow your upkeep by just bringing back essentially as many as you want. You can get rid of their blockers, send it into somebody who doesn't have enough to block your Obeka, and then you get a lot more in. Or you can get mechanized production. And I know it's not expensive, it's really not, but it is a win condition, and because of the way it's worded, essentially it can win out of nowhere with you. It can win out of nowhere in a lot of ways, but same turn it comes down, you can win pretty easily with it. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that, but like, you could put it on Replicating Ring and make it so I can't even stop you anyways, so there's that. This deck has insane potential. This deck is worth buying and having for those times where you're like, okay, I'm mad, I'm gonna pull this one out. I don't know how this worked out so well, but I have you guys to thank. But if you go to the Discord, you can find out that we're doing Wednesday Magic Nights. Some of you guys are already coming in, talking with me, having fun, playing games, talking with each other, having that kind of fun, and I just like seeing you guys there. Plus, you'll get more updated news and more direct contact with me if you have questions for me. If you just want to say hi, I'll be there. I greet every single one of you guys, and I manually change your rules too, so there's that. Here's another video. Here's whatever. I don't know how to undo these guys. Just gonna pop on out of here. Oh, this might be a problem.